Something big just happened in East Africa. In the heart of Dar es Salaam, a massive new trade and logistics hub has opened its doors. It's called the East Africa Commercial and Logistics Center, and it isn't just another shopping mall or industrial park. It's being called the largest trade and logistics complex in Tanzania, a $1 trillion dream. Before diving into the center itself, it's worth asking why Tanzania is investing so heavily in infrastructure and logistics. The answer lies in the country's big picture ambition. By the year 2050, Tanzania wants to become a $1 trillion economy, with citizens earning on average around $8,000 per year. To put that into context, Tanzania's GDP in 2023 was just $79.1 billion. Reaching $1 trillion means the economy needs to grow at a nominal rate of about 10% annually for the next 25 years. Is this realistic? Analysts point out that between 2012 and 2023, Tanzania averaged 4.3% inflation and 6% real growth per year. If that real growth rate can be maintained, the 10% nominal growth target doesn't look impossible, but it depends heavily on investment, especially from the private sector. Population dynamics add another layer to the challenge. Right now, Tanzania's population is growing by about 3% per year, but by 2050, it's expected to fall below 2.5%. That means the economy has to grow not just in size, but also in productivity. Real GDP per capita will need to increase between 3% and 4% annually to meet income targets. And then there's the money question. Estimates suggest Tanzania will require around $3.7 trillion in financing between 2025 and 2050 to fund the investments needed for transformation. Public resources alone can't cover this. The country will need a much stronger private sector, deeper financial markets, and global partnerships to make it happen. The launch of the EACLC. Against this backdrop, the EACLC was officially launched on August 1, 2025. President Samia Suluhu Hassan described the project as a flagship investment, one designed not only to serve Tanzania, but also to connect the wider East African region. She highlighted how it will strengthen Tanzania's position within the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa by improving trade connectivity and lowering costs. The facility itself is massive. Built with an investment of more than $170 million by China's Weihai Huatan company, it spans 75,000 square meters and houses 2,060 shops. It's officially the largest trade and logistics hub in the country. The launch event was attended by more than 4,000 people, including top government officials such as Minister of State Kitila Makumbo, Foreign Affairs Minister Mahmoud Kambo, Zanzibar's Minister for Trade Omar Shaban, and Dar es Salaam's Regional Commissioner Albert Chalamila. Also present was Chinese Ambassador Chen Mingjian, who emphasized the positive momentum of Chinese investment in Tanzania.
75,000 square meters and featuring approximately 1,800 shops, modern restaurants, and 200 contemporary office spaces. The project aims to directly connect businesses with industries in an efficient and professional environment.
What makes this complex different? The EACLC isn't just about scale, it's about integration. It combines bonded storage, customs clearance, e-commerce, supply chain finance, and re-export trade in one single platform. This kind of system means businesses won't need to navigate separate facilities or processes. Everything happens under one roof, making the flow of goods much faster and more cost-efficient. According to projections, this model could reduce regional trade costs by as much as 30%. That's a huge difference for businesses across East Africa, where logistics challenges often make trade expensive and slow. And it isn't just about trade efficiency. The project is expected to create over 50,000 local jobs and generate significant tax revenue for Tanzania. In fact, since its early operations, the center has already contributed around 22 billion Tanzanian shillings, about $8.75 million, to the national treasury. With the full launch now complete, that figure is expected to rise significantly in the years ahead. Vision 2050 and financial transformation. The EACLC fits neatly into Tanzania's Vision 2050, which is centered on boosting productive investment and ensuring economic resilience. A big part of this vision involves developing the financial system so it can attract more diversified forms of investment, including green bonds and other climate finance tools. Other countries that have crossed the trillion-dollar threshold, such as Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and Turkey, have relied on similar strategies. They invested heavily in building financial and industrial hubs, often linked through special economic zones, to create what economists call co-agglomeration. This means finance, industry, and logistics develop side by side, boosting productivity and reducing dependency on imports. Attracting capital into high-growth sectors. Another priority for Vision 2050 is channeling both public and private finance into high-growth sectors. Tanzania already has strong potential in agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and natural resources. By lowering the cost of capital and expanding financing options, these sectors could drive much faster economic transformation. The example of Vietnam is often cited here. That country's rapid development was fueled by targeted investments in industries with high growth potential, supported by both domestic and foreign capital. Tanzania is looking to replicate that kind of success story by opening up its financial markets, expanding equity access, and making it easier for firms to scale. The role of local banks and institutions. Tanzania's financial institutions are already adapting. Banks like CRDB Bank and NMB Bank have successfully issued green bonds and partnered with international organizations to create credit guarantee schemes. These tools have helped support smallholder farmers and MSMEs, spreading economic benefits more widely and promoting inclusivity, particularly in relation to the blue economy and gender equality.
Then takes you inside the East African Commercial and Logistics Center here in Dar es Salaam. Yeah, it's a very new.
But challenges remain. Fiscal and external deficits are still a concern, and digital infrastructure, especially in rural areas, lags behind. Expanding internet access and mobile financial services will be vital for ensuring that growth reaches all corners of the country. Tanzania's 2025/2026 budget and the next phase. The government's recently announced 2025/2026 budget reflects these priorities. It's the final budget under the National Development Vision 2025 and the Third National Five-Year Development Plan, and it sets the stage for the next phase of transformation. The budget targets 6% growth in 2025, in line with the rate needed to hit the trillion-dollar goal by 2050. It increases spending on infrastructure and digital transformation, even cutting the VAT on online purchases from 18% to 16% to encourage e-commerce. It also proposes reforms to incentives for special economic zones and foreign direct investment, signaling a clear commitment to making Tanzania more competitive. Agriculture finance is another priority. With support from development finance institutions and expanded credit guarantees, smallholders will have better access to funding, strengthening a sector that employs a large share of the population. Regional integration and trade. Tanzania's strategy isn't just inward-looking. The country has long been a champion of regional unity. Since joining the Southern African Development Community in 1992 and the East African Community in 2000, it has pushed for deeper cooperation. Trade numbers underline the importance of these ties. Between 2004 and 2020, Tanzania's trade within the EAC and SADC tripled, rising from $0.9 billion to $3 billion. By 2023, external trade made up 37% of GDP. About 40% of Tanzania's exports go to African partners, while the remaining 60% head to destinations like India, the UAE, the EU, Switzerland, and China. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement, ratified by 48 countries including Tanzania, opens even bigger opportunities. Relations with China. Tanzania's relationship with China is long-standing, dating back to the 1970s. China has played a big role in building Tanzania's infrastructure, particularly in roads and trade networks. The EACLC is the latest example of this partnership. At the launch, Wang Shangyun, chairperson of the EACLC, called the project a flagship outcome of China-Africa cooperation under the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. She emphasized that the center represents mutual respect, long-term commitment, and shared prosperity values that have guided the partnership.
Wow, this is not only a mall, this is a business center where you can do business to the locals, import and export to the world. And on today's video, I want to give you a tour of this beautiful area, mega development in Tanzania.
Ambassador Chen Mingjian echoed this, noting that Tanzania continues to attract more Chinese enterprises, and the EACLC shows the strength of that momentum, public perceptions and future outlook. But how do Tanzanians view these ties? Surveys like Afrobarometer suggest most citizens support international trade and view regional organizations like the AU, EAC, and SADC positively. A majority also recognize China's economic and political influence, though in recent years, perceptions of China's role have become more mixed. There are also concerns about the growing number of Chinese migrants involved in local trade, sparking debates about competition with domestic businesses. Still, the overall picture shows Tanzanians value cooperation as long as it contributes to national development. Why the EACLC matters? When you pull all these threads together, the EACLC represents more than just a building. It's a symbol of Tanzania's broader economic journey, a journey toward a trillion-dollar economy, deeper regional integration, and stronger global partnerships. By cutting trade costs, creating jobs, and generating tax revenue, it directly supports the goals outlined in Vision 2050. So what does this mean for the future? If the projections hold true, the EACLC could become one of the most important hubs in East Africa, transforming Dar es Salaam into a major gateway for trade. What do you think? Will Tanzania hit its trillion-dollar goal by 2050? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.